News. I'm Shannon.
I'm Gabe.
And today we're going to be talking about the Civil Rights Movement.
Now to Shannon and Julie.
Today we are joined with Julius. I have a few questions about the Civil Rights Act. Why did Lewis O'Neill Dorr march up and down Bay Street?
He did it because to protest against segregation and racism.
Okay. Why did Andrew Young get into desegregation efforts?
Young worked close to Martin Luther King Jr. and was tired of the unfair treatment of colored people and wanted to push for equal rights.
Okay. Why did the district go to the efforts it did to desegregate schools?
They wanted to desegregate the schools so all, if not most, students would receive an equal and fair education without being discriminated against.
Okay, thank you. Back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. So, tell me, Camilla, where were you when everything broke out?
I was walking down the street, and as I was walking, I heard gunshots. I then ran to where I heard the gunshots. Call me crazy, but my gut told me to go, so I did what my gut told me to do.
And why do you think it happened?
I think it was happening because African Americans were protesting against the segregation of black patrons at a nearby All-Star bowling lane.
How did you react to this brutality?
I was heartbroken. There was 3 18-year-olds that I knew very well. When I heard that they were shot and killed, I felt empty. There were only 3 that were shot and killed, while the others were just injured. I just hope they're okay, but as soon as I saw the bodies, I fell to the ground.
Thank you. Back to you, Shannon.
Thanks, Gabe. Now to Austin with information about the civil rights.
Thank you, Shannon. In the 1960s, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his executive director of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Andrew Young, convened their meetings at Penn Center to help secure the objectives of the civil rights movements. As the Southern... Wait, which one was I? Yeah, right here. As the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was running the citizenship school program, Young became a member of the organization and began working closely with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While in the SCLC, Young coordinated desegregation efforts throughout the South, including the May 3rd, 1963 March Against Segregation, during which participants were attacked by police dogs. King valued Young's work, trusting Young to oversee the SCLC when protests meant that King had to spend time behind bars. And back to Shannon.
Thank you, Austin. Now I'm here with an editorial on Darlene Lewis that takes place in New York. Staying in front of the 32nd precinct at age 4 was not my idea of having a good time. That was probably the worst time of my life. It was 1964, and my mother and sister took part in a march against the 32nd precinct of West 135th Street between 7th and 8th Avenue in New York City. You see, although many writers, such as James Baldwin, talked about police brutality of my Uncle Frank Stanford, the story had not yet settled in my bones. My Uncle Frank was a pantyhose salesman who had just left a client. He had observed the police beating up on a young man who was allegedly accused of stealing fruit. My uncle asked the police, what did the young man do? And the police beat my uncle so bad that his eyeballs were smashed. They left him in the precinct for hours before he was sent to the hospital. The doctors were unable to save his eye, so he spent the rest of his day wearing an eye patch. I never forget how the woman felt and how they led a march in the front of the 32nd precinct. I could hear them protesting, police brutality, police brutality. I remember holding a sign, pushing my brother in his stroller, and the Black Panthers and other civil rights activists screaming. Now in 2013, we still hear stories about police brutality, and there are hundreds of victims all across America who are hoping that one day the community and the police will one day be able to communicate without tension. Only time will tell.
Thank
you for tuning in to CR News.